Why injustice to men?
Men.
Especially in metropolis and all.
I don't have the figures, but I'm pretty certain that that's not the case, where unemployment is tilting towards men more than it is towards women. And in fact, there was a recent study more women are getting into secondary education and colleges, but more women are dropping out of the workforce than in the last 10 years. There's been a huge jump. So from 2005 to now, more women are leaving the workforce in India. So about 49% of rural women were working in 2005, and the percentage is now around 36. So, I'm like I said, I'm certain that that's not the case. And anyways, I think the discussion today is about how we can sort of achieve a balance between the two. It's not really, and that's never the intention to do men versus women. That's very juvenile, and that's not the idea. The idea is to look at how we can create an equal society, which is empowering for everybody. Right? So
and other thing, there is a case going, many cases going in our society, in our Biradari also. So much power is given to women that on her saying, their full families being imprisoned unnecessarily without asking.
Actually,
please, anybody can.
Sir, you're referring to Section 498 of the Indian Penal Code, which is no doubt a very powerful piece of law. And I'm going to try and answer it as honestly as I can. There is misuse of 498, and there's no doubt about that. And it's unfortunate. But the number of people who've actually been benefited by 498 in rural areas, where women are in a very, very, very poor position in the home of their husband because of exactly dowry, is very disturbing. Now, is the law misused? Yes. But is it required? Also yes. I think when the lawmakers get together to make a law, and this is of course based on the founding principles of the modern state, when social contract of Hobbes' law and Rousseau, which is what laid the foundation of the modern day state system, was the greater good. So are you trying to benefit more people or harm more people? If there is a law that actually achieves greater good with some unfortunate cases of misuse, I think it works out in balance. However, on the cases of misuse, there has been some efforts of a lot of NGOs to try and make those found guilty of misuse punishable and culpable under newer laws that are being made, which are going to be annexed to that particular law. So the punishment and culpability for those who misuse sections like the 498 should be very, very high, so other educated women, because it's the educated ones that are using it, don't use it.
Anybody else?
With social media, we talk a lot more on social media than we do in life. We feel like we've saved half the world on Facebook in half a day by saying, supporting 20 causes, but actually, what are we doing on the ground level? But I think that, things have to start somewhere. You cannot silence a cause. And yes, hashtags maybe, maybe 70% of hashtags are just hashtags, but those 20% make a difference. There are 20% of those women who use the hashtag, or people who use the hashtag and actually go out and do it, go out and loiter, and go out and support a cause or change laws, or even as simple as in your daily life, if you're in an office job or whatever job you're in, what do you choose? It makes a difference. Women always ask me, how can I support the cause of women? And I said, support yourself. Because, if you're empowering yourself in your workplace, if you're standing up for that little misogynistic, joke that's happening, you're already making a change. Yes, it might not, feel like a big change, but if everybody does that every day, it is making a change. So small steps and constant constantly bringing up the conversation is the way forward. And of course, it's easy to be jaded by social media. I think that a lot more is said than done on social media. But it has also cut out the middleman. It has also made that people can be themselves. You know, like if I want to correct something that's misquoted about me, I can do it on my Twitter. And all in all, I think cutting out the middleman, cutting out that anyone being able to speak about what they really think is as Kohli was saying, the greater good, you know.
Yeah, I'd just like to add there, I mean, you know, if you see what is the most, like I come from an advertising background, right? So what works is messages when they're repeated. There's a reason why all of these, all brands really repeat messages, right? And I think the same sort of idea is that if you repeat the conversation and it's constantly active and it's constantly happening around you, that's what affects you. And then you start to make small changes within your limited sphere of influence, right? So you may not see it, but it's happening with every individual person in their own limited sphere of influence. And like she said, it will take a while where you start to see a large, drastic change happening, but it's starting and it is happening, and social media contributes to that in a big way.
You know, and I'm using that, I'm removing the time frame here, because when you say you don't find changes happening immediately and people don't contribute meaningfully, if you look at, if you remove the time reference frame here and look at a very larger period of time, any change in society, anthropologically, has to start by first acknowledging the problem exists. So it starts with discussion, debate, discourse. That is when people become aware of it. Right now, a few of us may be aware of it, but each time, say, you use that hashtag, maybe somebody who wasn't aware of what was happening actually becomes aware of it. I experienced that 2 days ago when I added on to the dress like an Indian woman, otherwise you'll get PCOD. Thing that was going on, 2 days ago. So one is that discussion, debate, dialogue is the first step towards change. The second point is that any change in society takes 3 generations. The first generation becomes aware of it. The second generation actively does something about it, and the third generation reaps benefits. So it's always a long process. Lastly, when there is dialogue, discussion, debate on a particular subject, people's awareness increases, then over the course of time, one can look towards affirmative action, both from civil society and maybe legislative. Just to give you a small example, not too long ago in history, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was one of the social reformers who pushed the cause of trying to ban things that probably were not so unacceptable back in the day. And finally, it was the work of multiple social reformers that got sati banned. And if you were to look at it today, there's no reason for sati to have happened. But it took social reformers of that period, then followed by aggressive legislation. It took over 100 years before legislation was passed, that too by the British, to ban sati. But the life cycle of any change is unfortunately that, and what social media is doing is contributing towards chatter, yes, but is also making more and more people aware of what we're talking about. And I think that's really, really important, because if the change that we want to see is going to happen 3 generations from now, which is 45 years, 15, it has to start now.
Colors, knitwear and social responsibility. So the social responsibility has been built in from day one. So when Mr. Benetton started this journey, when he was, supplying garments from door to door, and when he started his journey 60 years back, somehow he felt that, it's very important that as a brand, we have to be socially responsible, and socially responsible in the right way. That was very, very clear. So when you look at the history of the brand, it's always about being socially responsible in the right way. And yes, there may be things which are happening in the society, which tend to give some speculation, or on which the brand can. So we be very clear. We want to be we want to work in a way, we want to conduct ourselves in a way that we are linked to the right causes in the right way. That's the, so we don't want to just, okay, this come up, so yes, grab this and look at selling your garments. No, never. There's a $2 billion euro organization globally, and it's always conducted itself in the right way. It's not looked at that, okay, this year was bad, so we are not getting the right revenue, so look at some topic and start talking about it. No, it's never been like that. So you will see our approach during last 60 years to be very, very consistent and right. We have never tried looking at anything which is like a small opportunity to grab and sell garments. No, never. So as a clothing conglomerate or a giant. We are very, very clear, right sort of topics, which, so idea is to act as enabler, to contribute towards society in the right way. Talk about right topics and contribute towards the evolution of society. As Gul said, three generations. So today when you look at why sati existed, it's a very basic question. So a lot of such things are there. So we have to be very, very clear, and we have to keep contributing. That's the way we're looking at it.
All the pressure and everything, and when it comes to a woman, if I have my share of savings, it has to be a choice. Oh, should I spend on my fancy marriage or the startup? I mean, why do you think as women we always have to be we have to believe in ourselves, whereas men are supported so much? We have to be so self-assuring ki no, we'll be able to do it. So why is it that we have to have that for us, whereas when it comes to men, people are there, always supporting them and saying, they can do it. Just to everyone.
That is the basis of a patriarchal culture, right? So that's the whole point of when men and women sort of are supposed to support that journey. And they're not really... Zoya Akhtar, Shonali Bose, I'm working with Rakhi Sandhulia right now on a film about maternity leave and women in the workforce. Who else have I worked with? My DOP was Anne Messiah on Margarita with a Straw. I don't know why, I'm attracted a lot of female directors, and we are less, for sure, there are fewer female directors. So, I mean, I also know that that's maybe because of the work I do, the things I choose, people kind of find that like they have something similar to say. I feel what's really missing still in our industry is in commercial cinema is that the writing is still very hero-based. Our writing is still based on uplifting the hero. If there's a heroine in the film, she is usually uplifting and supporting the hero. And it's still the exception to have a film like Piku or Queen, where the heroine is the uplifter of the movie. And I think, it would be great to see more writing where sometimes where the woman is the hero, but also sometimes where the woman is the villain, or the woman is playing, very ordinary characters where we, like a driver, like me and Gula are motorbikers, and everyone finds that like shocking, a girl on a bike, but why is that not a norm? So, I think representing women in cinema, outside of the stereotype of the virginal beauty or, the vamp, sexy item girl. I mean, seeing women in just ordinary jobs doing what they do in that is really important, and I think that begins with writing. So it's important to look out for those kind of stories.
Good, you want to add anything to that?
Piku, Turning 30, which Pura
Where Gul was the protagonist and I sat behind on a motorbike with her.
But I think, again, I just want us to speak of things in a larger frame. The fact that the change is beginning now, and the fact that there is a lot of writing which is well, not a lot, but there is a certain percentage of writing that is seeing women in the myriad roles they actually play in society, a corporate honcho, a pilot, a doctor, a driver. And I think that change has begun, and we'll only begin to see results, in 15, 20 years, or maybe faster. But it's unrealistic to expect any change in a time frame that's lesser than that. But if we keep asking these questions, if we keep having these conversations, that change will surely come. Or if we get up and say, yeah, we ask all these questions, no change, okay, what the hell? Then it's not going to happen. So the idea is for us to constantly keep questioning what's happening around us, talk about it. The more we talk about it, the more change will permeate into society, not just the film industry, but the corporate world and society as a whole, because ultimately cinema is a mirror of what's happening in society. Society begins to have equal participation of women, then you will see more participation of women in storytelling. And last but not least, the point that I want to sort of say my goodbye with is that 50% of our human resource in this country is female. Okay, 49% when it comes to India, unfortunately, but it's about half of India's HR resource is female. It is lying unutilized. That is the greatest argument for the whole country as a whole. Men and women to together work to make sure that women become part of the workforce. Because otherwise, we're never going to beat China. So if you want to take over the dragon, you have to bring in the entire population, cajole it into the workforce and not end up losing half the population that just doesn't get the opportunity because of whatever reason. So I think that is the biggest argument in favor of getting women into the mainstream, getting women into the workforce, empowerment, and men should work towards it because they also want better GDP, they also want better return on their stocks. So it's in everybody's interests for our country to do better, and in order for us to do better, we need to have women participating in all walks of life, including but not limited to cinema.
Basically women ruling over men, and it's not looking at the fact that it's equality in all standpoints where you're allowing the men